All right.
All right, good evening. Welcome to Danvers Conservation Commission meeting for May the 8th, 2025. We as a commission operate under the Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and Chapter 26 of the Town of Danvers General Bylaws, the Wetlands Protection Bylaw. After each applicant presents his or her request and the board has had time to ask questions and discuss the project, we will accept questions from the audience. Because this is a public meeting, it is required by law that you give your name and your address before you speak. Although we may disagree on issues raised, all persons present during this meeting are expected to be civil to all other meeting attendees. This includes members of the commission, staff, abutters, concerned citizens, property owners, and project applicants. We also request that you confine your questions to the project and only as it pertains to the Wetlands Acts. We cannot handle, nor do we have jurisdiction over matters such as noise or traffic. All problems not related to the Wetlands Protection Act and the Town of Danvers Wetlands Protection Bylaw must be taken up with the other appropriate boards. Our first order of business would be a roll call. Peter Wilson is present. Lorraine Drapek.
Present.
Mary Haight.
Present.
And Michael Splain.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have everyone that we need. We have a quorum. First order of business is a notice of intent for 5 Spring Street, DEP file number 14-1434. The applicant is Winnipeg Angry.
Good evening. My name is Paul Finocchio with PGF and Associates, 4 Highland Ave, Wakefield, Mass. We did have our site visit last week. We went over the property, walking along the wetlands line, and also went over to the site where the addition is going. After some conversation in regards to the proposed deck that was being installed on this side of the house, the contractor and the homeowner decided that they would remove that deck under their proposed work and put it over on this side of the house, which would be behind the garage on the first floor level. We'll put a set of stairs in coming off the roof deck onto the ground. So that pulls it outside of the 50-foot do not disturb area.
Good.
And also on the site, there was the location of a shed that was somewhere back in here. I did talk to the contractor who was friends with the homeowner, and they said they would relocate that shed outside the 50-foot buffer zone so that you can put that as part of your order of conditions if you want to, though. Verify that they'll move that.
I'm pleased.
Is that all?
That's it.
Yeah.
I just drove by, and behind the shed, there was a garden area or something?
Yeah, I guess they've been using that as a garden plantings for some time.
And there's all white flags and stuff in there.
Well, that's because I think they've put it, well, like, since we went out there, I think they put up the bean poles and so forth for
Oh, for bean
plantings.
sprouts, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. There was one other question, the one concern that I had was that in the wetlands area, there was a lot of trash. And, I mean, I would think personally that trash needs to be picked up and just, we have
Taken
to
out.
show, you know,
Yes,
that those wetlands are, you know, we want them pristine.
I did talk to the contractor, and he spoke to the homeowner, and again, there was that wash machine that was out in front that is being taken away, if it hasn't already, by the trash company.
No, but there was like an election sign in there and, you know, overall
I will
trash.
tell them when they're out there getting the site set up that they will remove anything that's in the wetlands area along that buffer.
Okay, that being said, you said you moved the deck. Could you give us a little more detail on that? Maybe zoom in.
wanna
real
see?
quick?
Sorry, just give me 1 sec.
Well, originally, we
See
had
the
the proposed
difference,
deck
yeah.
Yeah.
coming over in this area.
Right,
There was a
Remember we
portion
didn't want it
of
in
the
the-
deck and stairs would be inside that 50-foot buffer area. So now what they're doing is, on this portion here, above the addition, is a deck. So we'll be putting a set of stairs now coming off that
oh,
portion.
nice, very nice, okay.
You can see it here if you want.
I
There's
have
the
the
difference.
two.
This is the before and this is the after. See?
Right.
See here.
Okay.
So
Yep.
it's there.
Okay, that's all the questions that I have. Mike, do you have any questions?
I just want to say I'm very pleased that the applicant responded to our concerns and that you're removing the deck. You're going to clean up the conservation area near, adjacent to the property, and that you move the stairs and the deck outside the 3550. I think you did everything you were supposed to, and we're very happy with it. I am, at least.
Thank you.
Is that a
That's
question or a
it, no
statement?
question. That's just a statement, no question.
I have a question for Emily. So when they do the construction where there's not a lot of space
Can you
and
bring
it's
that
so
up?
close to the wetland,
To move the shed
like,
out.
where are they gonna
You
put
think so?
things?
Those are questions for the applicant.
All right,
Yep.
so,
Means to be seen.
the,
I don't know.
where the different lines are for the wetlands, I know myself, I've seen construction and had it done around where I lived, and where you put things. So if they're building stuff and they'll put the wood someplace, or they'll have tools, or they'll have batteries, is there any way within the order of conditions we could put something in that supplies, materials, containers, trash, all of that stuff from the construction is put outside of the 100-foot zone? Do you know what I'm saying? Because when I look at the property, and I think when I've seen houses do construction, there's a lot of stuff that's around the building, a lot of packaging, things like that.
I'm not sure if we can get outside the 100-foot. We can definitely be outside the 50-foot. Most likely, there'll be stockpiling material over in here, because there's going to be additional work that's coming in here that's. on the
I don't
proposal.
know if we determine whether that stuff could be put in that zone or not. I mean, it may be okay.
I mean, we can put in the condition of no stockpiling out, within the 50, or sometimes we'll do stockpile materials have to be removed, or excavated materials have to be removed the same day. It's up to whatever the applicant is agreeable to and what would work with,
Yeah, I'm sure what they're going to be
Site.
doing is they'll be having all their lumber and material stored here.
right.
There won't be any of the excavation material be taken out off-site, because there's not going to be any filling, because it'll be maintain the grades that are out there now.
Yeah, and you're building the trench, right?
Yes, we're
On the
building.
left?
It's out
Yeah.
back here, yes.
So that's a change from the original plan.
No, we had that, well,
I
this
thought
is a change on the
uh,
original plan. We first didn't have the drainage, then there was a comment from engineering in regards to stormwater, so we designed a system to handle the,
But I thought there was something at the street level for,
well, we have a trench drain here.
no, what do they call those? The chambers where the infiltration
Yes,
chambers.
that's, this
Right, but originally those were right on the street.
No, we never had them.
As I recall, at the last meeting, there was there, and there's an opening in the fence there, and I'm pretty sure they were located on the street.
Oh.
Or- And 61 half dozen the other, it doesn't matter,
Yeah.
just saying that now I'm recalling,
Grade,
I'm
grade-wise,
noticing
it
that they're,
works, grade-wise, it works for us to run it from front to back.
yeah, it does. But I remember asking the question,
Oh.
it was uphill from where the original,
I don't recall, but that's, because under the original plan I submitted, we didn't have drainage on there.
That's right.
okay. And they are gonna stay with the infiltration chambers, they're not gonna come back and say, no, we want to do a detention pond instead.
No, we're not doing a pond. No, be the chamber, so it'll be underground.
Okay. And is there anything else within the 35 or the 50s besides that shed?
I don't believe so. Well, we have the portion of the house that's in there.
But that's there,
That's
that's, and
there.
there are.
And
And,
that, the driveway is still existing. And that would be.
now, is
still
that
be-
driveway gonna be removed? Because
No,
the,
that driveway's still there, because it's a garage on this side and a garage on this side.
okay.
But they're paving the driveway, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right now, it's gravel.
And question for Emily?
Yep.
What is the implications of that garden being out in, that's within the 35, isn't it?
I believe so. I believe it's up back in the rear area.
Right.
Uh, That, I'm not totally sure. It's a question of how long has it been there? When was it built? When were any of those trees taken down back there? I honestly don't know what we would be able to do at this point, since it's already there. It's already existing in the wetlands area. We could put a condition that no further expansion into the wetlands beyond what they've already built, if you wanted to do that.
Yes. And There is a restriction for fertilizer use as part of the order of conditions. So that garden being within the 35 buffers, I mean, we don't want you guys fertilizing the garden, because that fertilizer, whatever excess, it just goes into the wetlands, and that's a,
Well, is there any
That's a nice
fertilizer
wetlands over
that,
there.
is there any fertilizer that's allowed? Like, I mean, natural, like manure, things like?
I would have to research that, but we do have a condition that we can put in there of like no herbicides or anything like that.
It's just a straight no fertilizer of any kind, or?
I would have to read the exact language on it, but
No.
we've used it in other areas that, where we don't want any chemicals out in the wetlands.
okay, those are my concerns. We don't have Mr. Bradstreet here tonight, so.
Yeah.
Is there any public comment or questions? Hearing none?
I had one quick question. What are you using as the boundary for when the construction's being done? And then keeping all of that stuff out of the wetland? Like, what material are you using
It's,
for that barrier?
The silt sock and the silt fence, which is gonna be running along.
So what exactly is that? Is it like rolled up straw?
It's rolled up hay,
but it's
basically, and,
small?
yep, you got it. And then there's the black silt fence that goes along with it behind it,
How tall is the silk fence?
a little over 2 feet.
2 feet? Okay, thank you.
Does anyone have any other questions or concerns? Okay, if someone wants to make a motion, we can proceed.
So we have to make a motion to close the public hearing first?
Yes, we do.
I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing for 5 Spring Street, DEP number 14-1434.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so now we need to make a
Order of
motion to,
condition.
if we want to order of conditions with any particular conditions that we would like. So,
Do we want to talk about the conditions before we make it? Or do we say them as we make the order conditions?
no, we just make the motion to issue an order of conditions
And then
subject
spell
to
them
the
out.
following conditions.
Okay, do we know what those are?
And
Well,
for
I
right
think-
now, I have 3 that I just noted: material removal.
Yeah. I'll make a motion that we issue an order of conditions
Those
for
3 conditions.
DEP file number 14 what is it? 1434 5 Spring Street, with the condition that the applicant is, according to their latest plan, relocating the deck and the stairs outside the 35 and the 50, that the applicant will not use fertilizer on the garden area adjacent to the wetlands, that the shed will be removed outside the 35 and 50 foot, that any stockpiling will not be within the 50 or 35 foot, and
Remove trash.
the trash will be removed from the wetlands, and the, what's this material removal? What are you talking about?
Just any excavation spoils that we're going to remove.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, daily, you mean? Yeah, so any materials that, trash or something will be removed daily?
Okay,
All right, you all right with all that?
yes.
And just to limit the size of the garden
The
as to
garden.
what is
Yeah.
currently there.
Yeah, what is the size of the garden currently?
I don't know.
Is it shown on the plan?
No, it's not.
Not shown on the plan.
Did we want to say about the chemicals?
The,
Is that in there?
what chemicals?
No, just for the garden, and then.
Yeah, no, we already said that, yeah.
And
Yeah, and
making
that's part of the
sure
order of conditions anyway.
not to store any of the building materials in the 35
Yeah, we
foot
said
zone?
that, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we covered that.
Okay.
And is the applicant here? Yeah. What's the approximate size of the garden, sir? If you just go up to the mic and tell me. Hello.
Hello, how are you, sir?
What's your name, sir?
Valentine, Nana,
In your address?
5 Spring Street,
Yeah.
Danvers, That garden should be something like 20 by 20, I believe.
20 by 20?
About, yeah.
If I could go back up there, add it onto the plan and.
Yeah, and you'll file, yeah, all right.
That'd be good.
So,
Thanks.
the garden that's being allowed will be no larger than it exists now, and as will be shown on a subsequent plan to be filed by the applicant.
Yes, sir,
Correct?
that's okay.
Okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, that's the motion.
All right, thank you.
Okay, so there's no waivers required on this?
No waivers now.
Now,
Okay. Okay, the motion's been made. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye, aye.
Okay, so
Good luck,
just,
sir.
just know that the order of conditions is valid for 3 years. After 3 years, if you're not done, you can come back and ask for a request the extension for 1 year. But we really try to emphasize with people when we issue an order of conditions that we want to have it closed out and you back here for a certificate of compliance within that time frame.
You can explain that to him, right? That once the job's done, you come in and get it signed off.
Right. Okay, you're welcome. Good luck. Next is a request for a certificate of compliance for 33 Cabot Road, DEP file number 14-1260.
So long.
The applicants are James and Diane Rao. So, Emily, just to make sure we're all on the same page. This was an order of conditions that was issued
In
2015.
2015?
Yep.
And no work has been done,
Correct.
so they just want to close this out and go to,
And then do a
apply
new
for a
order.
new order of conditions.
Exactly.
All right, so that's just a no-brainer, just
Yep.
to close it out. So if someone can make a motion, we'd do that.
I'll make a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for 33 Cabot Road, DEP number 14-1260.
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Next up is a notice of intent for the same property, 33 Cabot Road, DEP file number 14-1435. The applicants are James and Diane Rao. And if you're representing yourself, sir? Just give us an overview of what your plans are.
Of course.
Please.
Yep, Thorsten Akerley, professional wetland scientist with Williams and Sparages, representing Diane and James Rao. Diane's here tonight. So this is an existing single-family house lot, ranch-style dwelling constructed in the late 1950s. You can see in the northern portion of the property, we have a few resource areas. Number one being an unnamed perennial stream. This is one of those, I know there's a few in Danvers, one of the streams that were mechanically dug, and most of the area around them is heavily developed. You've got lawn going up to most of the edge of the river in these neighborhoods. You do have a fringe of woods, I would say, along most of them beyond the fence line here and most of the other dwellings in the neighborhood. We don't have bordering vegetated wetlands associated with this stream. We do have a bank, obviously, associated with the river and perennial stream. That's shown in the dashed green line there. And the area slopes up slightly, and then you come into the backyard where it's very flat. You come to the house centered in the middle of the lot, facing Cabot Road and Bowden Street to the south. In the backyard, you have an existing vinyl fence which separates the yard from, the wetland areas and the property.
Where is that on the drawing?
Vinyl fence is right here.
So,
So this is the back of the house.
Okay.
And within that, there's an existing paved drive that borders the shed there, that comes out and connects to Bowden Street. That's shown in these two areas, here and here. Those are both existing. And the reason we're here tonight, back in 2015, Diane and her family planned to have her father move in with them as part of an attached, not an ADU at the time, but an accessory family unit for her father. Never got built, and then we're back this time with a slightly different plan, but similar idea, about 750 square feet of living space inside the addition here. This is being proposed as an extended family living area, not an ADU, as Emily and I were discussing earlier today with Brian. So this is an attached portion to the existing dwelling. There's a common connection there. As you can see, the back of the house connects into that area. So it'll have some kind of shared space there. And then a one-car garage on the area of the addition that sticks out towards Bowden Street, and a new section of pavement there.
Isn't that gray shaded portion on the drawing, and that's a driveway?
That's the proposed section right there.
Where's the driveway now?
So there's an existing one right here. And this one, I don't believe is used much for parking or anything. But play, this is a basketball court kind of back here. It's an older pavement thing that the kids play sports and whatnot on, but it's not actively used for parking.
And none of that will be altered?
Well, I was going to get to that. So they are proposing to remove this section right here. So that's
What is that?
Is that paved?
It's pavement, yeah. It's pavement. So a significant, I don't want to call it a gift, but something nice that they're willing to do. It's not really needed, and they're willing to remove
What
it.
was it for, that paved area?
What was what? Sorry.
What was that pavement for?
It's been there quite a while. I don't know exactly.
Oh,
Maybe an old.
walkway or something?
They probably wanted additional parking or something.
Oh,
I don't know, but it was before they owned the house. So it's hard to say. It doesn't look new at all.
So there's no vehicle access required to get back to that, whatever the building is up in the back?
No, it's just a shed, an older shed that was also there prior to Diane and her husband owning the property. They would like to keep just that area in the back. That's where the kids, play like basketball. They have a basketball hoop. And again, it's not something we're trying to permit after the fact. It's been there for quite a while. Don't know the exact date, but prior to 2007 when they moved in. 2006, sorry. But all of the work is, I don't know if you're familiar with this area, but everything is proposed to occur with an existing lawn. There's no trees. It's also extremely flat, so we don't anticipate, much earthwork other than the excavation associated with the EFLA. And when it's flat, you have a smaller risk of erosion as well during construction. But we do have an erosion control shown along the rear fence line there, even though it's a stockade fence that sits on the ground, but something there at least to limit anything during a heavy rainstorm during construction. I should note that we are supposed to file a stormwater management permit. We have shown stormwater management for the proposed driveway, that new section. But even when you subtract the pavement to be removed versus the pavement added, there is still an increase in impervious surface on the property.
Yeah, about 580 feet or so?
Yeah, something close to that.
Increasing impervious?
Yeah.
Technically, yeah, about 600 square feet or so. So they are subject to a stormwater management permit. So we do expect to have to do something for the rooftop of the new addition there.
But you haven't proposed anything yet?
No, we haven't. So we've only done something for the driveway. This was something that came in. We wanted to at least file in time for this meeting, but we recognized that we couldn't get that piece of it done in time. But it would certainly occur outside the 50. And of course, all work is outside the 50 as well on this.
So the blue dashed line, that's the 100 foot from the riverbank, is it?
Correct. Yep.
So you're within that?
So
Well,
we're
all these projects are within the 200
Right.
along that street, right?
correct.
But with the amount of square footage, does that have any
Yes, it
implications
does.
on, the limits that we allow within certain
I
areas?
believe that was within the allowed limits.
That'll be part of the calculation? Yeah.
Yep.
And you know what else? Is this coming in under the zoning that allows accessory dwelling units or something else?
So that's what myself, Thor, and Brian have been talking about over the past few days. This is going in as an EFLA, so it would fall under the EFLA zoning bylaws for the town. So depending, Thor and Diane may need to apply for a special permit through ZBA, but.
That's
as long
why I
as,
think this should go somewhere else and get their relief first, and then come back here when they get their relief.
Well, I don't think we need any relief. It was designed to, we had some back and forth today, so they were trying to keep it at the allowable limit, 750 square feet of living area. So that's what we were told the architect it was. That's exactly how it's sized.
Right.
So we don't expect the footprint to change unless, for some reason, when he double checks his calculations, that it's off. But that was the intent, that it would comply with the town's EFLA requirements, sizing limits.
But are you saying you don't have to go before any other boards?
No. I mean, unless for some reason they want to try to increase it to 750. What we've shown here, where our understanding is that it has 750 square feet or under living area, so we shouldn't need to file with the ZBA, if that makes sense.
What about planning?
Nope.
No, nothing? And what about, you gotta get a building permit, but stormwater management, right?
Yeah, so technically, we still do have to file with the engineering department, Stephen
Yeah.
King, and take care of that. So we expect probably increasing the size of the infiltration trench along the side of the addition, or doing something for the roof like you saw in the last project, a subsurface recharge chamber, something like that.
So you don't have to go before the ZBA, but you think you might if something changes?
Correct, but I think for now, we're planning that this should be good. If something changes, we'll talk to Emily and Brian, but as it's been designed, we're told by the architect it has the correct amount of living area.
Correct, yeah. The email that I have from Brian here says that you would just need the special permit unless the common area is modified, but that's just the interior. That wouldn't affect the footprint, that wouldn't affect the Concom approval. That's just working on some of the interior layout, but the footprint as proposed wouldn't be changing the CBA.
And we're saying this is at EFLA? Okay.
Yep, and they did, based on the criteria, Brian measured it all out. It does fit within that 750 square feet that is allowed. It's just navigating that common space, but that would fall outside of Concom's purview.
So may I?
Yeah, keep
If we were to
going, Mike.
issue, for Emily, if we were to issue an order of conditions, and then it turns out that their architect tells them, oh, we've got some changes, it's gonna trigger a ZBA, are they going to have to come back here?
They wouldn't have to come back to us unless the footprint were to get bigger or to go further into the jurisdictional resource areas. If it were to get smaller, then you wouldn't necessarily need to come back for a modification because it's less impacts. Yeah, if it gets bigger or goes further into the jurisdictional resource areas, then you would need to come back for a modification.
But that would be, right, so that'd be a change, so
The
then
footprint.
they would have to come
Yes,
back here.
yeah. But if the interior layout changes, that's
All right.
All right, but
between,
it's still
yeah.
stormwater plan pending.
yes, yeah, yep, and still the
So that's a
engineering
condition we should take.
Yeah.
criteria would have to be met.
Okay, you all set, Mike?
Yeah?
Lorraine, any questions? No?
I'm good.
Mary? Is there any public comment? No?
No one online?
Okay, I mean, it seems pretty straightforward to me. They seem to be within their zoning limits, and they work within the zone is within our limits, so that's good. So I personally would say, let's issue an order of conditions, but it's up to the rest of the board to
Yeah.
to
I just
agree
have
with
one
me
more
on that.
question. So we're not concerned with the stormwater, what they issue, because again, that won't affect what we're going to, what order of conditions we
Because it'll be
make?
conditioned that they have to follow Mass DEP stormwater standards and the engineering, and the local stormwater standards.
And you don't anticipate there's anything in the stormwater that would change what we're doing? No?
No, don't think so.
All right. All right.
engineering has reviewed everything and DEP has reviewed everything too.
I'd certainly agree if it was a larger project, you know, you wouldn't want to grant an approval without that like firmly in place. But I think for something like this, it's, you know, we wanted to get it done. It was just a timing issue for us, and
Yeah.
you know, you miss one meeting and then it's, you know, you're back a month. And
And just to clarify, if the stormwater wasn't approved by the engineering department, everything stops anyways.
Yes.
right.
Yeah.
So it's not like that,
Yep.
Yeah, all
Yeah,
right.
if the stormwater, if the conditions from the engineering department for stormwater weren't agreed to by the applicant, then we wouldn't move forward with issuing this.
okay. Okay, if someone wants to make a motion then? we'll-
Is this a public hearing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just
so-
to make a-
so-
Motion to close the public hearing.
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Make a motion, issue an order of conditions on the notice of intent by James and Diane Rail, am I saying that right? Yeah, for 33 Cabot Road, to approve their application as shown on the plan for, I'll call it an accessory dwelling unit or an EFLA, on the representation by the applicant and the representative for the applicant, that they don't require any further relief from any other boards, that subject to the applicant obtaining permission for stormwater, appropriate stormwater management, and should the, as the applicant has related, should the plans as drawn by the architect suggest that they need to increase or otherwise change the footprint as shown on the plan, then they would come back before us to address that, correct?
Well said.
All right.
Motion's been made, is there a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Good luck.
Thank you all.
Just like I said for the previous order conditions, you have 3 years to complete the work and come back. If your 3 years expires and you're not done, you come back to us and ask for a 1-year extension. That's the limit of it. And we just really encourage you to have it done and back here and get that certificate of compliance within the 3 years.
Yeah. I should ask this, but we're done. But Emily, is there any regulation about how many driveways you can have or driveways off different streets?
I can ask DPW.
Yeah, I was just curious. Do you know? Because I see you've got one off one street and one off another street.
And
Oh, yeah, I don't know the answer,
Yeah,
the other project had 2 driveways too.
yeah,
Yeah, Steve will probably know.
yeah, but 2 different streets. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just curious. We'll find out.
It's all a frontage issue.
would guess not, just because
Yeah,
if anyone knows, it's Steve King, so.
yeah, Steve King will know. He would have said something.
Oh, you're
Thank you.
welcome. Bye-bye.
Good luck.
You've been to Steve King, right?
I've met him, or?
No, yeah, on this matter, you haven't been before him?
He reviewed it as part of the.
Oh, he did?
Yeah,
Oh, I'm happy
Yeah, he
then.
commented on it and said we need to do the stormwater.
See ya.
All
Good
right.
luck.
Okay, good, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so moving on to old and new business, minutes from the April 24th meeting. We all recall that meeting so clearly. So if anyone's has an issue, now's the time to raise it, otherwise we'll take a motion to accept those minutes.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes from April 24th, 2025 meeting.
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Before we adjourn, is there any updates on a new member, Emily?
I have been in contact with someone. I'm hoping that she comes into the office within the next week and meets with me and Brian, and hoping.
Okay, good.
Oh,
Well,
looks
just,
good?
just
Does it
so
look
we
good?
know-
I
Yeah?
think so.
Yeah?
I think so. Cautiously optimistic.
Ah,
Mike
okay.
and I were trying to recruit David Mills.
Yeah, we're
David
trying to get David Mills now that he's not
So-
running for selectman.
So we're just saying
Select
that
board.
with all these people looking to be elected to the select board, if someone wants to volunteer.
Yeah, it'd be fantastic. It'd be great.
Because
Yeah.
just, it gives people a good feeling for how things run at
On the town.
Yeah.
At the town
Yeah.
level.
the level one below the select board.
All right.
Okay, anything else?
No,
Just
good job,
one thing.
everybody.
Yeah.
The next meeting at the May 22nd, Lorraine, you're not available, so just wanted to double check
Memorial
that
Day weekend, I'm
Mary
taking
might
off
be
going away.
available.
I think I'm good.
When's the
That's a lot, that's the day before Memorial Day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right, so we'll only have 3?
yeah. Yeah, and we do
You all
have
set for that?
I
two
think so. I
NOIs
can
and-
check too at home. I can take a look at the calendar. I think I should
If there is
be
a
fine.
conflict, then
Yeah,
let,
please let me
No,
know
I would know
as soon
you
as
let you know
possible.
as soon as I get home.
Because we have
Yeah.
two NOIs,
22nd?
an RDA and a COC.
22nd.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be
I should
here.
fine.
Will you be here,
Yeah,
Peter?
but I'll.
You'll be
email
here?
you, Yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
okay.
Mary will be here?
Yeah, I
arrange
should.
Oh, we're all
public plan
set
in
then.
Seattle or somewhere. aren't you?
No, but you know what, speaking of that, I won't be here for the June, is it the second meeting? I leave
24th?
the
Okay.
24th, I won't be here.
Try not to
That's
book
when I'll be in
anything. Emily,
Seattle.
try not to book anything. Give us a
I'll
break.
try.
I'll check on
I'll do my
June-
best.
No,
I'll check on
that's,
June
yeah, my daughter's
24th
having a
too.
baby, I'm going out
Oh,
to
wow,
Seattle
hey.
over
Uh-huh.
for a few weeks.
That trumps everything.
That trumps everything.
That's fine.
We have a baby coming, but it's a lot closer.
Yeah.
That's
Really?
will be my life as
That's
babysitting.
nice, that would have been nice.
Okay, motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn?
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, great. Thank you, everybody.
See you, everyone.